Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to what matters, basically giving you a shortcut to being really plugged in. Today, we are diving deep, really deep, into a cultural phenomenon, a show that kicked off way back in 1989, has racked up 790 episodes, and guess what? Renewed through 2029. We're talking The Simpsons.
Right.
And our mission today, we're going to unpack 10 of their, frankly, most startling forecasts. Predictions that, as we're heading towards 2026, feel spookily possible. Almost, well, eerily accurate. The show really seems to have the receipts for these, and it's the range that's surprising. Tech failures, political messes, even food shortages, which actually makes you think, how on earth did Lisa Simpson, of all characters, sort of flag up a potential global food crisis?
It's a great place to start, isn't it? That episode, Lisa the Vegetarian. Season 7, episode 5, you see Lisa have this awakening after visiting a petting zoo. Suddenly her family's whole meat-obsessed world, especially Homer's ridiculous BBBQ.
Oh yeah, the you don't win friends with a salad guy?
Exactly. She sees it all differently. Tries a tofu dog from Apu. And remember that great bit with Paul McCartney on the Quickie Mart roof with the secret garden?
Yeah, Winda too.
Right. And what's really sharp about it, it isn't just predicting like literal shortages maybe. It's how it flagged the unsustainability of how we normally eat, pointing towards a future where thinking about where your food comes from, ethical choices, alternative sources, like Lisa was exploring, they stop being just lifestyle things and become, well, maybe necessary. And you look around now, 2025, the headlines are intense. Real food insecurity issues linked to climate change, droughts, the problems with monoculture farming.
Yeah, population growth too.
Absolutely. The Simpsons kind of got that our whole approach to food could itself become the crisis.
So it's less about who wants salad and more. Are we actually paying attention to the big picture of how we feed billions of people? It's pretty deep for a cartoon, really. Okay, speaking of things hitting a bit close to home, let's shift to money. Springfield's finances, always a mess. But some of those old jokes, they're starting to look less like gags and more like warnings about economic crashes.
Oh, definitely. You absolutely have to talk about Marge versus the monorail. That's season 4, episode 12. Springfield gets this $3 million windfall, right? And this slick salesman, Lyle Landley,
With that incredibly catchy song.
exactly, sells them this doomed monorail project. He cuts every corner imaginable, takes the money, skips town, and leaves them with this, well, death trap on rails. But the insight there, it goes deeper than just a bad investment. It's really a sharp critique of how easily society can get swayed by charisma, by a flashy presentation, instead of solid planning and making sure someone's actually accountable. And you see echoes of that pattern now in 2025. Governments wrestling with huge debts, maybe making risky bets, pushing for growth without really solid foundations.
Like what? Stimulus checks, maybe? Or big infrastructure plans without the details ironed out?
Could be. Or think about speculative bubbles, junk bonds in the past, maybe crypto more recently, those super hyped tech startups that crash and burn. The Simpsons just nailed that tendency to favor the spectacle, the appealing story over boring old financial sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's never just about the monorail itself, is it? It's the system beneath it that lets these huge flawed ideas almost destroy everything. Kind of chilling when you frame it like that. And it often feels like economic problems and political problems go together, right? So from money troubles, The Simpsons also seemed somehow to foresee political chaos hitting a new level.
They absolutely did. You look at Sideshow Bob Roberts, that's season 6, episode 5. It's just a masterclass in showing how fragile democracy can feel. Here, Sideshow Bob, a convicted criminal, runs for mayor.
But wins.
And wins. By rigging the election, he uses votes from dead people, from pets. It's outrageous. And he's got this loud right-wing talk show host backing him, Birch Barlow, and his whole campaign is just empty promises, like building the useless Matlock Expressway.
Right.
What makes the episode so brilliant is how it just dissects the whole machinery of political manipulation. It's not just the rigged vote, it's how easily public opinion gets twisted by a strong personality, amplified by media that loves conflict, fueled by, total misinformation.
Sounds familiar.
Doesn't it? In 2025, you look at the political unrest around the globe, how fast bad information spreads online, questions about election integrity. Sideshow Bob Roberts stops feeling like satire and starts feeling like, well, a serious warning, a reminder that democracy needs constant defending.
It really makes you pause, doesn't it? How much of today's political scene reflects those same weak spots the show pointed out years ago? Like, how thin is that line between their satire and our reality sometimes? Okay, let's pivot. Let's talk tech. We're all swimming in it. And another prediction they made about VR addiction. That one feels like it's creeping up on us.
It really does. It's quite unnerving, actually. Remember Bart to the Future? Season 11, episode 17, we see this future version of Bart, and his life is just dominated by VR headsets. He gets his news through VR, his entertainment, even uses it for, like, emotional escape.
Yeah, he seemed pretty miserable and cut off.
Totally disconnected, isolated,
Right.
living this sort of detached virtual existence with, what was it, VR ray guns and virtual news anchors.
Right.
What's really striking is The Simpsons didn't just guess we'd have VR goggles. They saw it becoming more than just a game, like a whole lifestyle. And today, metaverse isn't some sci-fi dream. People go to VR concerts. AI is getting really good at creating these immersive escape worlds. And you have actual experts now ringing alarm bells about what too much VR does to us. You know, mental fatigue, feeling detached from real life, even addiction in the clinical sense. The show predicted not just the tech, but the potential fallout of getting totally lost in the digital world.
It really forces the question on all of us, doesn't it? Where's that line between using digital tools and becoming dependent on them? What happens to our real lives then? And sticking with tech dependence, remember Itchy and Scratchy Land? When the robots went wild?
Oh yeah, classic.
Believe it or not, that episode kind of hinted at something way bigger. AI taking over jobs.
Absolutely. It's Itchy and Scratchy Land, Season 6, Episode 4. The family trip turns into total mayhem when the animatronics, the robot mascots, just malfunction and start attacking everyone.
All because Professor Frink forgot to carry the one.
Exactly. Which is hilarious, but the deeper thing there is really interesting. It's robots going haywire, sure, but it taps into this really primal fear we have about automation, doesn't it? What happens when the machines we build to help us or do jobs for us suddenly turn against us or just make us unnecessary?
Yeah, that's a definite anxiety now.
And in 2025, AI isn't just theory. It is genuinely transforming industries. Customer service bots, data entry, even creative work with things like ChatGPT. It's happening. The Simpsons gave us this early, funny warning about the risks, about society maybe leaning too hard on automation without thinking through the ethics, the oversight.
Puts a totally different light on job security, right?
Yeah.
Imagine your whole career depending on someone remembering their basic math.
Okay.
Okay, all right, let's try and lighten mood a bit. Moving from job insecurity to, well, something maybe less immediate, something more out there. Alien contact. They predicted that too, possibly by 2026.
Ah, yes. The Springfield Files, Season 8, Episode 10. That episode was just brilliant at mixing comedy, conspiracy theories, and that universal curiosity about, are we alone? Homer has this drunken encounter in the woods, thinks he's seen an alien. The whole town goes nuts.
Mulder and Scully even show up.
They do. Great cameo. And of course, the glowing alien turns out to be Mr. Burns, all hopped up on medical treatments and stumbling through the forest.
Naturally.
But the real genius, the foresight, wasn't necessarily saying aliens will land by 2026. It was how perfectly it captured the human reaction to the mere possibility of contact. That mix of excitement, fear, suspicion, how quickly we jump to conclusions or misinterpret things.
Yeah, that feels very real.
And you look at 2025, NASA's making incredible progress. The James Webb Telescope, missions searching for life on moons like Europa. Finding extraterrestrial life is a serious scientific goal now. The show just nailed the human drama that surrounds that ultimate what if.
It really did capture the psychology, didn't it? How we look for patterns, how our own biases color what we think we see out there. Okay, but unfortunately, not all the predictions are about little green men or glowing billionaires. Let's shift back to something that feels, well, uncomfortably familiar. Another pandemic warning.
Yes, the episode Margin Chains, Season 4, Episode 21. It is honestly striking how prophetic that feels now. It shows the Osaka flu spreading through Springfield. How does it start? People ordering juicers from Japan.
Wow. Global shipping right there.
Exactly. Global shipping, an airborne virus, panic buying, the town grinding to a halt. This was 1993, and it reads almost like a news report from early 2020.
That's incredible.
But the deeper point, the real warning, wasn't just a virus might come. It was the knock-on effect. While the flu is spreading, Marge is exhausted looking after her sick family. She accidentally shoplifts cough syrup, gets arrested.
Right, and the town falls apart without her.
Complete chaos. Riots, even. The Simpsons showed how a health crisis can trigger this domino effect. Economic problems, misinformation spreading like wildfire, social order breaking down, especially when, basic empathy and looking out for each other kind of go out the window. It's a stark lesson in how connected everything is and how fragile.
It really drives home that a pandemic isn't just about the disease, is it? It's about everything else that frays when society's under that kind of stress. Okay, let's talk about being watched, whether we like it or not. Back to tech, but maybe a more unsettling side. Surveillance.
Homer Badman, Season 6, Episode 9. That one was way ahead of its time, incredibly prescient. It starts so small, right? Homer grabs a gummy Venus de Milo off the babysitter's pants. Harmless.
But it blows up?
Massively. The media paints him as some kind of pervert. There's that hilariously distorted interview on the tabloid show Rock Bottom. Suddenly, Homer's life is just fodder. Made-for-TV movies about him, angry mobs outside his house, 247 news coverage dissecting his every move.
Total public shame.
Exactly. And this was before the internet really took off. Before social media, it captured the beginnings of that media sensationalism, that rush to judgment. Now, fast forward to 2025, we've got AI surveillance everywhere, facial recognition, constant online outrage cycles. That fictional nightmare is basically reality for some people.
Yeah.
The episode predicted a future where privacy isn't just chipped away at, it might become the exception, not the rule, where being constantly monitored, judged instantly by strangers. That's the default. Remember, it took groundskeeper Willie happening to videotape the whole thing to clear Homer's name. Yeah. Shows how flimsy reputation can be.
Man, if tech and media keep going like this, unchecked, you really are just one misunderstood candy grab away from being the next public enemy #1.
That's sobering. Okay, so from being watched, let's think bigger picture about tech's impact. Not just surveillance, but what happens when the tech itself, breaks, goes haywire. You have to talk about Treehouse of Horrors 6. Specifically, the Homer segment. Season 7, Episode 6. That was pure digital prophecy wrapped in comedy horror. Homer literally falls into another dimension behind the bookcase, right? This 3D early CGI cyberspace.
Yeah, with the grids and geometric shapes.
Exactly. And then things start to collapse. There are mathematical formulas floating around. A black hole opens up. We see glimpses of donut-based advertising monsters, Freddy Krueger as Willie invading dreams in another segment.
Yeah.
It's all about reality glitching.
And he ends up crashing into the real world.
Right. Lands smack dab in front of an erotic cake shop in, where was it? Sherman Oaks.
Perfect.
But that whole segment, it wasn't just a visual gag. It was a really smart commentary on how blurred the lines were already becoming between digital spaces and physical reality. And it hinted at the chaos that happens when the systems we rely on, systems we maybe can't even unplug anymore, start to break down. Think about today. Deepfakes getting scarily realistic, AI generating weird, glitchy stuff, our total dependence on complex digital networks. 2025 could easily see some kind of major tech tantrum, as you put it. The show seemed to grasp way back then how fragile our tech-saturated world might become, especially when we push it too far.
You know, when you explain it like that, the erotic cake shop feels less like a random joke and more like a symbol that reality itself is getting weird. Makes you think. All right, our final prediction dive. This one takes us back to something fundamental and frankly, pretty serious. A stark warning about the planet itself.
Yeah, long before Code Red for Humanity was a common phrase in climate reports, The Simpsons was sounding a quiet alarm. Look at Homer the Heretic. Season 4, Episode 3. Homer decides to skip church one freezing Sunday. Has the best day ever, warm at home while everyone else freezes.
Right, enjoys his waffle, watches TV.
Exactly. But the episode subtly uses extreme weather as a backdrop. It's a blizzard outside, doors are frozen shut, car engines won't start. It depicts a world where weather is becoming more, hostile. And the real point, the metaphor, is powerful. Homer ignores the established norm going to church. He does his own thing. It's kind of like how collectively society has maybe ignored the warning signs about climate change for a long time.
And then his house catches fire.
Exactly. His religious freedom, his choice to ignore the norm, leads directly to disaster. The message is pretty clear. Ignore the warnings, pretend the rules don't apply to you, and you might get burned. Literally, in his case.
Like, it's hard now.
It really does. In 2025, the climate data is undeniable. A warming planet doesn't just mean hotter summers. It means chaos. Rising seas, unpredictable seasons, more extreme weather events, just like the blizzard in the episode. And there's another layer, too. Who saves Homer from the fire?
Oh, yeah, it's Apu and Ned Flanders. Krusty the Clown.
Right. A multi-faith group, people from different backgrounds working together. It suggests that tackling a crisis like this, whether it's a house fire or climate change, requires everyone, all hands on deck, forgetting differences.
That's a really powerful and unfortunately very relevant message for today. It really highlights that need for collective action on the threat that impacts absolutely everyone. So there you have it. 10 times The Simpsons seemed to uncannily mirror where our world was heading. Across decades, touching on tech, politics, the environment, our social fabric, this deep dive into these predictions, It leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it?
It really does. Think about it. If a satirical cartoon, week after week, could so consistently nail the trajectory of our biggest societal challenges, from how hooked we get on technology to how vulnerable our systems are politically, economically, if they saw it coming, what does that say about our own ability as a society to see what's right in front of us? Or maybe more pointedly, our willingness to actually listen to the warnings, even when the messenger looks like a yellow cartoon character?